get away from that. So, hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. Hit the like button, hit the share button. It doesn't cost you nothing. And share it to a group, a family. And if you listen to us on the radio, you are tuned into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We are here in your ear on Rochester Free Radio, WRFZ 106.3. We are the #1 conservative talk show. Let's make it in the whole country the #1 conservative talk show. Drop a comment, even if it's a thumbs up, a heart, an American flag, or if you want to be part of a conversation, put your comments in the comments and we'll do our best to pop them up on screen as we go. Now, let's get into it. Locally here over the weekend, we had a crazy weekend. People were getting shot up, stabbed up, cut up, chopped up. It was insane this weekend where I live here in Rochester. A couple weeks ago, not even a couple weeks ago, maybe like a week ago, the mayor said, oh, we're going to stop the gatherings that are in the evening. Anybody that gathers with more than 10 people, we're going to send the police to shut it down. Send the police? Where are you going to send the police to? You don't got no police. There aren't no police here. What do you mean? We're short like 170 police officers. It's crazy. And it's only getting worse because nobody wants to be the police because there's no support from the mayor's office. There's no support from city council. And all they do is they talk about gun violence and how gun violence is down. But everybody out here getting shot up, stabbed up, cut up. Okay. Not to mention overdoses. They're like, well, nobody's died from gun violence. First of all, what the heavens is gun violence? You mean criminal violence, right? Like, see, this is how they play with words because it's all about funding. And we're going to have a real conversation about words in a couple of minutes, but let's start here. It's about funding for them. Funding, funding, funding. You see the violence, they tell you the crime is down, but they don't really care about crime being down because if crime is down, that means that they get less money, right? They make money off of your pain and suffering. Understand that and remember that. The government isn't out here serving you, they are serving themselves. And people say, well, Marcus, how can you say that and you be so involved in politics? Because I know better than what most people are willing to admit to themselves, which is we, the people, are supposed to be the ones steering the government, not the government steering us. And we've got to get away from that. The government wants nothing more than to keep itself in power, than to become more bloated and make people more dependent on the government. You want to know why they don't want to solve crime? Why? Because if they put the criminals in the jail, they couldn't say, oh, well, we need more money for violence prevention and diversion programs and this, that, and the third. I just want to put the criminals in jail. I'm a real simple person. Put the criminals in jail. And then we can talk about all of that other stuff. Why won't you put criminals in jail? Why can't we talk about bail reform and cashless bill and amending or abolishing those? Why can't we talk about the raise the age laws, which make it so anybody under 18 basically can't go to jail for anything, even a felony? Why can't we have a conversation about that? Why can't we have a conversation? They have to be released within 24 hours. Like, what type of crazy nonsense is that? And we have almost the majority, the lion's share of our violence in our community right now, okay, is from youth offenders. But that's because of raise the age. They can't be charged with anything serious. And even when they are charged, they're not held. And it goes to family court. It doesn't even go to real court. It's bananas. It's bananas. And we need to have those conversations. Why can't we put these criminals in jail? Why don't they talk about that on the news? The mayor, the police chief, they got up on the TV. I heard everything about everything except them putting some criminals in jail. What is going on here? It's, you know, we need to put the criminals in jail. That needs to be the first priority. Then just last night, and we'll go back and we'll cover some more stuff from the weekend. Just last night, somebody was breaking into this gentleman's home and he broke in and the guy put him out. He put him dead to the ground. Okay. Shot him dead. Good for him. Okay. That Rochester, New York, where I live. It's something like New York City. It's something like Portland, Oregon, where they just fired the police chief. They said he resigned, but he didn't get fired. It's the socialist mayor over there fired. The socialist mayor over there fired him. He didn't resign. That's a whole nother thing. And it's, again, these socialists don't like black people. That's a whole nother conversation. we'll get to that in a couple of minutes here. So we got all this craziness going on here, but it's because it's in a blue city, and everybody else that lives in other nice cities that are red run and stuff like that, largely on scale, do not have the level of crime. At least they'll lock people up in jail there, you know? But here, what do we get? We get nothing. They play in our face. Why? Because it's about money, you guys. It's about money. The people that are in power, like in our city and in city council, in the mayor's office and city council, they don't want to solve the problem. Because if they wanted to solve the problem, the number one solution is, as the mayor said, it's only a small amount of people that are committing the crimes, and we know who they are. Well, if you know who they are, Mr. Mayor, go lock them the HE double hockey sticks up. Like, what are we doing here? Like that's ludicrous. And he said this out of his mouth on a press conference before. So, like, I'm just quoting him verbatim. So this is what they're telling us. It's only a small amount of people that are committing the crimes, and we know who they are. Why aren't they in jail? Why aren't we dragging them down the street publicly, flogging them in the street? Explain it to me. Why don't we have any of this stuff being done that needs to be done? Criminals need to be in jail. It's very simple. If we're going to talk about violent crimes, we're talking about theft, we're talking about these things like that, put the criminal in jail. It is not complicated. All of this hug a thug, lovey-dovey, tutu fruitsy dootsy nonsense is garbage trash. Violence prevention. Violence prevention, my hind quarter. Put the criminals in jail. That's all I want to talk about. That's all I want to see is the criminals going to prison and or jail. That's it. And then they're like, oh, well, violence prevention is working. Violence prevention is working. I don't know. Maybe, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't put criminals in jail. What nonsense is that? You understand what I'm saying? That's like saying, oh, well, you know, the faucet works, but we should not care about what the water treatment facility is doing because the faucet works. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Two things can be true at the same time, and two things can affect multiple other issues. Like, what are we talking about? These people don't care. That's what it is. Hit that like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. Hit a heart, subscribe, follow if you're online. Now, we need to have this serious conversation about public safety, right? They used to say, if you don't do the crime, if you can't do the time. But if there's no time being held out, being dished out for crime, why would anybody care? Because there's nothing's being done. Nothing's being done. We had about 25 people shot over the weekend. They're going to say, oh, it was just 18. No, we have more than that. We have more than that. They even shot a mailman. Okay, I thought it was my mailman that got shot, but then I saw him today. Praise the Lord. Okay. So they shot the mailman. Now the mailman, it's this broad daylight. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. The mailman just going by on his roof and he getting shot. They shooting mailmen. You understand what I'm saying? This is the level of criminality. And you'll say, oh, well, they didn't mean to shoot him or whatever. I don't care who they meant to shoot. It shows a complete disregard and lack of concern for public safety, right? The criminals have gotten so inside themselves and up their own behind, that they feel like they can do whatever they want. That they feel like they can do whatever they want. There won't be no consequences. To heavens with the consequences. Whoever gets hurt, and nobody cares. They shot the mailman on his roof. The mailman ain't bothering nobody. He out there walking, delivering the mail all day. It's madness. And that didn't even hardly get any coverage on the news. So I'm like, this is ridiculous. Can we even talk about that? Then we had some 14-year-old girl, or maybe she was 17-year-old, get shot in the face. We had another one that was 14 years old that got killed. Like, all of this craziness. And where is our city council demanding that we put criminals in jail? Where are they demanding justice for our victims? No, they want to get out there and talk about, well, we just need more violence prevention. No, you need to put criminals in prison. You need to put criminals in jail. You want to know how to stop crime? Lock them up. They'll tell you out their mouth that you can't stop crime by locking up all the criminals. You got to be a fool to believe that. You definitely can. Okay? You absolutely can, because the less criminals on the street is going to be the less people committing crimes. It's really serious. It's really serious. Then they want to play in your face like you're retarded because you want them to put criminals in jail. Who's dumb? You're getting paid. You don't care about us. Poor little girl got shot in the face. Now, I don't know what she was involved in or nothing. I don't know if it was meant for her or whatever the situation is, but she had her whole life ahead of her. You understand what I'm saying? 17-year-old girl. Then the 14-year-old girl, I don't even know what. That's crazy to me. Then they had a number of other people shot. Those are just the two people that we know about that were that ended up dead over the weekend. And that we know about. Let me be very clear, because they've been finding people's bodies in fields and behind houses and in basements, and all types of crazy stuff been going on in Rochester that they haven't even been publishing. Go look into that craziness. Okay? Start asking some real questions. They don't want to publicize that. They don't want to talk about that. See, they even finding bodies from Rochester that were people murdered in Rochester and other counties. What is going on? So you telling me that the murders are down and stuff like this? It's crazy. It's crazy. They'll tell you whatever they want that makes them look good, instead of putting criminals in jail. Why? Because they figure that the criminals will cause them to get more money. It causes them to be able to have more power. It causes them to have the ability to say, oh, we need more violence prevention money so we can employ our friends, our cousins, our benefactors, and our sycophants that are always licking our toes. Well, how about that? Maybe we don't get no money because we don't got no brown on our nose, other than the color of my skin. You understand what I'm saying? This is the problem that we're facing in our society today. When our elected officials have completely abdicated their duty that they have to us for basic public safety. You understand what I'm saying? We don't even have the concept of basic public safety. You know, I'm not talking about, oh, everybody should be safe 100% of the time. No, that's not what I'm saying. There needs to be a class action lawsuit against city council, against the mayor's office for not providing us general public safety. We just don't have it. People are scared to walk out their houses. People are scared to let their kids play in the front yard. Last night, we had 2 houses riddled with bullets. Okay, come to find out that they weren't even allegedly the houses that were supposed to be targeted, which that's just the 2 from last night. There was another one that was hit the same night. I don't know if that was for them people or for somebody else. And that doesn't include the other people over the weekend. So all of this nonsense about, oh, well, we got a gun violence state of emergency. Why? What does that even do, right? It allows you to make more laws that are unconstitutional and just do them as edicts. It allows you to bring in more money and reroute resources from other things that it'll be better spent on. Like, this is serious what we're experiencing here. I can't even say that it's corruption. It's just business as usual. Just completely ignore what the people need, completely ignore what the people want, while you serve yourself and your friends and your benefactors and all the people around you, except for the actual citizens who you've been elected to actually assist and who you elected to represent. It's a daggone shame. It's an absolute shame. And we don't talk about it enough. We don't. And it really makes me upset. It really makes me frustrated. And you know what really concerns me? We know crime is bad, right? So is the concept of not locking up criminals that criminals don't know crime is bad? Is that why we're not locking them up? Right? Because we need an explanation. We deserve an explanation. Somebody needs to be held accountable. Mayor came out on the TV. The vice president of city council, I haven't heard from her. I don't know if she wrote something over the weekend, but another city council person wrote something. The Miguel Melendez, the president of the city council, wrote something. And I'm like, why don't you guys advocate for criminals to be locked up? That's what we need. That's all we need. That's the solution to lower the crime. Nobody had anything to say. I don't understand. Is it because you're Democrats and because the people that are in the state assembly and the state senate that control these things are also Democrats? Is it because you're too concerned about bucking your own party in the interest of the people that you're supposed to represent? Is that what's going on? It's really upsetting. It's really upsetting. Somebody says somebody talking about our city council people. We run into these situations with these city council people all the time. They don't want to actually address the issues. And you have to ask yourself, well, why? And again, every single time it goes back to they get money for it, or their cousins, or their friends, or their nonprofits that are funneling money to them, or the boards that they are on, or any of this. Or any of this. It's a serious, serious, serious problem. It's ridiculous. And somebody said it's a mess. It is a mess. It is a mess. Excuse me one second. Let me blow my nose. It's a complete crap show. It's a complete crap show. I don't get it, you know? Well, I do get it. You know why I get it? What's happened is people have checked out. They're not engaging these people, these elected officials anymore. It's our job to hold them accountable so that they can be holding the criminals accountable, but people aren't holding them accountable. Now, real quick, hit the like button, hit the share button. It doesn't cost you nothing. Hit subscribe, hit follow, whatever you're on. And if you're listening to us on the radio, tell your friends, your family, and your enemies. Tell the people up the street, tell the people down the street. Tune into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio, Mondays, 2:30 to 4 p.m. We are here in your ear having the conversations you need to hear. Now, let's get back into this. If people are having these serious issues with crime, what are we doing to make the community that is suffering this get justice? And the answer is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Who do we have that will advocate for us? Nothing, no one that's on these boards. And you look at it, and again, I hate to say it, you guys, we're a Democrat-run city. All of our elected officials are Democrat. It's been that way for ages. But everybody that's in office is representing everybody that's in the city. The city is largely Democrat. Okay? But if the city is largely Democrat, that means that all these shootings, stabbings, people being lumped upside the head, crime, lack of public safety, all of that is happening to people who are also Democrat. You mean that you don't care about your Democrats? You mean that you don't care that you're a Democrat, you're elected by Democrat people that are voting for you largely, and you're not serving them? That's wild to me. It's wild. It's really, really wild. And it's a daggone shame. The people need a real voice and a real seat at the table. They got all of these knockoff, fake behind little thought groups that they have going on, the personal thought groups that you don't know anything about, that I don't know anything about. But they've got them like they're ridiculous little anti-violence collectives and what's the other one? Violence prevention collectives and stuff like that, that they got their little boards and stuff on that we don't know nothing about, that they don't put any real people on. Okay, they only put the same people on with the same stuff. It's like these ridiculous bike lanes that I hate so much. They only got one group out here advocating for more and more bike lanes. Why are you listening to them? They don't represent us. Most of them live in nice neighborhoods. Okay, they got the money. They ain't got no problems with this. They don't bike because they want to get somewhere for regular transportation. They bike because they have the ability to do it outside of the need to do it. Understand there's a difference there. You understand what I'm saying? They have a choice because they got the money. But for people that don't, and they're impacted by this, it's a problem. And it goes back again to the crime and the violence. They only surround themselves and do the bidding of people that are either shelling money out to them or that are going to say the same stuff that they want to hear. Somebody said that they're willing to sacrifice the kids to criminal lifestyle because they need violence to justify gun control. That's true too, Gary. So Gary, Gary, that's absolutely true. We were talking a moment ago about the guy that shot the criminal that came into his house trying to rob his house. I believe very firmly we need to arm our citizens in greater numbers, okay? Because all the criminals got guns. You want to talk about gun violence? Let me tell you, wherever, and you look this up, right? Don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm going out my way to tell you, okay? Go look it up. Where there are more guns and guns are more freely available, there is less gun violence. But here they'll tell you, oh, we got to get rid of all of the guns and all of this and all of that, blah, 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 blah. Well, why? Why do we got to get rid of all the guns? We need more guns to stop the criminals because it's very clear when I call the police on the phone, hello, police, we need you over here because these criminals is acting a rabid fool. They out here doing all types of crazy stuff. Police be like, well, we got 13 high priority calls holding right now. We can't get over there yet. You're going to have to hold tight. Hold tight? You understand what I'm saying? And that's if you can get to a phone in a serious event. You know, this is a real serious issue. Our citizens aren't being protected. Our interests aren't being protected. Our businesses aren't being protected. And we deserve to protect ourselves because it's very clear that the city doesn't care. Now they're talking about they want to push all of these private companies and stuff like that to do security and stuff like that. What do you mean you want to push private security places and stuff like that when the police can't lock up and hold criminals? If the police can't lock up and hold criminals, you mean to tell me that the public safety people that they hire are going to be able to do more? That's ludicrous. I don't even like the fact that we got the U of R here. Okay, they got these so-called peace officers, but it's really privately contracted security, and the city has authorized them to be able to lock you up. Who the heavens are they? They're not police officers. That's some private security, okay? You know, GIPI out here talking about they gonna lock you up, and they're not even police officers. They got more authority than the police officers. What is going on in our city? You know, it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And they play in our face and they tell us that crime is down. Crime is down because they're underreporting crime. You can't get a criminal report if you can't make it to the phone to get to the police. You can't get a criminal report if the police don't never come. You know, then when you do get a police officer to come, they want you to go downtown and go file a police report after the fact. They should be filing all police reports right there on the scene. Do you know that they don't fingerprint cars? That when the cars get stolen, they don't fingerprint the cars? Why wouldn't you fingerprint the cars if the cars are stolen or broken into? You're not trying to catch the criminal? It's because the state laws and the city priorities have made it so that they have neutered and castrated our police force so that the police cannot do their job. Then people want to be all nasty with the police. Okay. Somebody said, what is our tax money for? Well, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's been going on, but they want to reroute the money for the tax money for the police to violence prevention. I don't want no violence prevention. I want all the criminals locked up. As a matter of fact, if it was up to me, we'd at Parcel 5 have public executions. But that's too much and untasteful for people. But honestly, at this point, what else can we do? Because they won't protect us. They're not doing anything for us. Do we need vigilantes out here to go start taking out gang members and taking out drug dealers and investigating these people who are killing these other people? Because the city council has cut the wedding tackle off of the police so that they can't do nothing? You know, and then people be like, oh, well, the police are bad. The police are bad. Well, the police can't do nothing. What do you mean that they bad? Look, I wish they had the ability to be bad. They ain't even got that ability. That's the crazy part. You can't tase nobody. You can't rough up nobody. You can't use your baton. You can't do no pepper spray. You can't do nothing. Then they get mad that there's all this money is going to police overtime. Well, if you don't have police overtime, you're not going to have no police because we don't have no police. We're short 170 police officers. You understand what I'm saying? What do you think? There's magically out of the air that police are going to come to take those other positions? Magically? so that we don't have to spend all that on overtime? You think the violence prevention or the action team, which I believe are both retarded, okay? Don't get it twisted. I think all the what do they call them? If you know what it's called, the PIC team, the person in crisis team, the action team, and all the rest of them peer mediators type BS, nonsense garbage is nothing more than trash and a scam for our money to make more people employed through the government than they should be in actual private workforce. You understand what I'm saying? So that they can have solid votes from these people. That's why they keep all of these people on staff. Half of them don't do nothing, and even the other half ain't even effective at all. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, and a lot of people like to get on the radio or get on the internet and say a whole bunch of cushy things that sound good, that make it sound good and make it look good, but it's not good. Things are not good. Like, for who is it good? For you because you live on Lunde Boulevard in a nice little enclave. It's nice for you. It's nice for you because you live on a good part in Park Avenue. It's nice for you. It's nice for you because you haven't had any crime or violence on your street. Nobody jacked up your daughter. It's nice for you. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy, and it's totally disrespectful. It's totally disrespectful. I'm very upset, you know? And you know what? I can't even say I'm very upset. At this point, I'm beyond frustrated, right? I'm livid. I'm livid. What do they say? Livid is 3 steps past pissed, you know? And this is where we are right now. And they are wasting the money on nonsense. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And I'm very frustrated. And I hate the fact that not enough people are standing up. That's why I stand up. I push forward, and I really want to make a difference. I'm so upset. Let me gather myself for a second. Let me drink water. Drink water, stay hydrated, y'all. Drink water, stay hydrated. Now, let's be real right now. What do they tell you when you're little? If they wanted to, they would, right? So if they wanted to deal with the crime, they actually would. It's very clear that they do not. They are negligent of their duties, and therefore they need to be removed. In New York State, we do not have recall elections. I wonder why. I wonder why. So we should. We definitely should, you know, but we don't, because they don't want them to be removed. It's a very serious problem. It's a very, very serious problem. They need to be removed, right? And I'm not talking about, oh, they need to be voted out. No, they need to be chased down and tarred and feathered. Why do we stop tarring and feathering elected officials? You understand what I'm saying? How many kids' lives have been taken in the last year because of this nonsense, not locking up criminals garbage? How many old ladies have been beat up and jacked up at the bus stop or outside? You understand what I'm saying? How many overdoses and overdose deaths have we had in public and in public facilities? In the library. Do you know they don't talk about the overdose deaths in the library? Ask about that. Ask them about that. Ask them how many overdose deaths they've had at the RTS Transit Center downtown and why the bathrooms are all locked off now. Ask about that. See, they don't want you to talk about that because it's too much like right. It's too much like true. It really, really, really is. And it's a serious issue. Okay. And one of the big things we don't recognize is that we have more power in our voice than they want you to understand. We need to be going en masse to city council and demanding that they start locking up criminals. And they'll say, oh, well, it's not us. Well, we ain't heard you say word one from day one about them locking up criminals. It's your job as our elected officials on the local level to advocate for us to the higher levels of government. So that will be your peers in the state assembly and in the state senate that craft the laws that say we can't lock up criminals. But those are your boys. Those are the same people in your same party, so you can't challenge them. How can you not challenge them? Well, my team, my team, my team. Our city is filled with people registered as Democrats, and they are suffering. Do you not care about your team? Are they not part of your team? Like, make it make sense. Along with the rest of us, the Republicans, the independents, and everybody else is suffering too. But you don't care, right? Man, listen, let's get on to some international affairs because we done talked about this the whole show, and I want to cover a couple of other things. So right now, over the weekend, Trump announced that Hamas has agreed to disarmament in Palestine. So that in Gaza. So that's going to be very, very interesting. You know, and it bothers me that we have all these crazy pro-Palestine people out here. Really, they're fake, okay? They don't care about Palestine. They don't care about any of the people over there. They're just anti-American and anti-Christian. So I don't got no type of love for none of those fake people, because if they actually cared about a real, true genocide, they care about what's going on with Christians in the Sudan, or what's going on with Christians in the Congo, or actually not even just Christians, everybody in the Congo getting killed up. Okay, that's a whole crazy nonsense there in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or the ones that are the Christians that are being killed up in Nigeria. This year alone, so far, more have been killed in any one of those countries than have been killed in Palestine. Make it make sense. Where's the genocide? Where's the genocide? Are those not important? Or is it because they're the wrong religion? Or is it because you haven't been told that it's fancy? You know, I saw one time these people had a Lebanon flag out there. It made me want to spit, okay? Insulting Lebanon like that, okay? They support Lebanon. No, you support Hamas. That's what you support. If you knew anything about Lebanon, you'd know that Lebanon used to be a Christian country until Israel funneled all of those Palestinians over there, and the Palestinians tried to overthrow the government in Lebanon. And they did the same thing in Jordan too. Like, what are we talking about? Like, can we have a conversation about that truly? This is exactly the reason why none of those Muslim countries want the Palestinians. Make it make sense. They don't want them. Why don't they want them? You have to ask a question. They tried to overthrow the government in Egypt when they went over there. Okay, that's where the Muslim Brotherhood came from. Like, can we have that conversation? No. But, you know, Trump is a bad man because he does Israel's bidding, whatever the case is. I don't care what you think about that. That's not important to me. But the fact that you're out here talking about, oh, you're pro-Palestine and you're not pro-Palestine, all you are is anti-Christian and anti-American. It's real simple. And they use that as a guise of division to help instigate problems inside our nation, pushing anti-American influence largely under socialist aspects and communist values. Make it make sense. That's why whenever you see the socialists and stuff like that, you see the Palestinian flags. The socialist flags are no longer the USSR flags, the red communist flags. They're the Palestinian flag. Okay? I know what time it is. Y'all got to wake up. Y'all got to wake up. It's really, really serious. It's really, really serious. So the president is out here. He negotiated dearmament with Hamas. Are these people out here praising him? He's negotiated with Israel not to be in Gaza anymore. Are they out here cheering the president on? Are they out here cheering, oh, Trump is so great because he's bringing peace in Gaza? Are they cheering him on for that? No, they don't care. How many times has Trump tried to initialize peace over there, and these idiots are outside here talking about, oh, Trump is bad, Trump is bad. You want the peace there or no? Like, I'm not going to argue with you whether he's a good person or a bad person, but I'm going to say that if you're saying that you want something and this guy is pushing for it, and you're saying, oh, he's bad, how is he bad for pushing for what you're telling me that you want? That math does not math. You know, and I know math grades in school are very poor in America right now, but you ain't got to be a mathematician to know that if you say that you want peace there and you got a guy that's like, hey, we need peace and de-escalation there, and then you're like, I hate that guy that wants peace and de-escalation over there, you're the problem. You're the problem. It's a serious, serious issue. And it's a big problem. But the question is, can we talk about that? Now, Israel in that case is talking about, well, what are we going to get? Because if we're not in there, well, then how are we going to be sure that we're going to be safe and all of this and all of that? I don't even really want to dig into that conversation because I feel like they be playing in our face, right? Especially Netanyahu. They be playing in our face. It's a really, really, really serious situation. Okay, they be out here in our face, playing in our face. Do they really care about safety and security in Israel? I'm talking specifically about Netanyahu, because we know that they let October 7th happen, that they purposefully called the guards off duty in that area, and they let it with just a little bit of people, and they also helped with the logistics of the attack on October 7th, okay? The Israeli government, right? But can we talk about that, or is that anti-citrus? You understand what I'm saying? Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We can question our government. We can question England's government. We can question the Australian government. We can question Saudi Arabia, but we can't question Israel. Their government is super trash, and it does not look out for the best interest of their people. They have very sordid goals that are long-term goals, and they're willing to sacrifice many of their own people for that. But we can't have that conversation. Okay? We can't have that conversation, and we need to be having important conversations. It's a whole nother reason why the war and the engagements over in the Middle East aren't completely finalized, because there are certain interests that have interest in seeing them to continue on. Trump's been trying to end this stuff with Iran for months, but somehow every time he gets real close to a negotiation, this one country that says that it's trying to bring peace over there kills up everybody that we're negotiating with. But you can't say their name. Oh, it's Israel, by the way. Okay, but you can't say their name. Why is that? Are they not a country? Why is it anti-citrus when you say something in relation to that country, which is a secular nation? It is a secular nation. They don't believe in God. They definitely don't believe in the God of the Old Testament. The pre-Christian God, they don't believe in pre-Christianity, in Hebrew roots. They don't believe in that. They believe in Talmudic nonsense. And we're supposed to sit here and play like that's okay when the vast majority, first of all, Israel is officially a secular nation, number one. Number two, okay, they promote abortion, okay, they promote alphabetism, LGBTQ+2, all of that nonsense. Okay, all of that is directly against God. Explain it. They promote pornography. They promote transgenderism. Okay, they promote all of that stuff, and they out here holier than thou? Absolutely not. They are people like everybody else's people. Okay, and Israel just as corrupt as the rest of the countries. Okay, all the countries is corrupt. I don't know about Bhutan. I hear they're one of the happiest nations in the world. So maybe not them, but also probably them, because it's humanity. It's humanity. And we need to have that conversation. Like, a lot of people have their own special interests, their own unique interests, and that's fine. But not being able to talk about that when it impacts our country on the national level is very detrimental. See, for me, I'm an American only person. There's some people out there that'll be like, well, I'm America first. I'm this, I'm that. Good. I'm glad you're America first. That is a start. I'm America only. I don't care about a Botswana. I don't care about a Nicaragua. I don't care about a Romania. I care about the United States. And the only reason why I care about any of those countries is in relation to what they can do, give, or help the United States with as far as our own interests go. Like, can we have that conversation? You know, but they don't want to have important conversations. Let's talk about a couple of other things that we got going on. You know, we got the continued issue with the push for more socialism and more communism. How do we do anything about that, right? How do we do anything about that? I want to talk about that real quick. Give me a second. Let me blow my nose. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It don't cost you nothing. And if you want to support the radio station, please go on Patreon, and you can go to RochesterFreeRadio.com. Okay? Or, well, those are two different ways. RochesterFreeRadio.com, or go on Patreon, Rochester Free Radio. But also, if you're online, you can see either way right here if you want to donate to the show, or down below, okay, depending on whether you're vertical or you're horizontal. So support the show, and definitely hit the share, hit the like button. It don't cost you nothing. Make sure you get it out there so more people can hear and actually be part of the conversation. You know, one of the big things that we have right now is this upsetness with the government, right? So the Democrats are largely upset with the Democrat Party because they feel like they're not being served. As I just addressed the issue in my Democrat-run city, which is a city full of Democrats, how the Democrats aren't satisfied with the Democrats that are in office. You see this also on the national level. And what do we see rising up? We see these socialists rising up because the Democrats are not delivering on anything that they've said. And it's been that way forever. It's been that way. I don't want to say forever, right? But it's been that way for ages, ages and ages, so long that people have had this sense that now nothing's going to change unless we do something completely different. And we're to the point now where everything is so serious that we've got, how can I explain it real simply? Everything is so serious in the United States of America right now. A country, a nation that's built on capitalism, that's built on tradition, that's built on conservatism, that's built on being a constitutional republic. We have citizens that are willing to adopt the concept of socialism and communism because they feel that their needs are not being met. So this displays two very serious issues. It displays that the Democrat Party, which is where the socialists are growing in power and strength, are really not serving their constituents and their constituencies, even though they're supposed to be. And people are fed up. That's why these socialists are winning, because they're promising them everything that they ever wanted. Then you got other people that are more so considered to be blanks or Republicans, and they're either disaffected or they don't want to participate in government anymore because they don't see anything changing where they are. They don't see anything changing. And it's a real serious issue, you know, and we have to address that. So for me as a conservative, I'm like, I don't get it. I don't see why conservatives aren't dominating in the Republican Party. I was talking to somebody last night. I was like, listen, you're really more conservative than you think. And they were like, no, I'm more of a socialist. I said, how so? Because they said, well, they believe in things like Social Security and social welfare and stuff like that. I said, just because it has the word social in it doesn't mean that it's socialist. And that's another argument that people make all the time. Oh, well, it says socialist or it says social in it, so it must be socialism. That's not what socialism is about at all. Socialism is about the complete control of everything from what you do to where you work, all by the government. It's complete unilateral rule, okay? The government is God. That is what socialism is. And we can't have that. And I don't want it. I don't want it at all. But we really, really, really need to have these conversations. It's really seriously a problem that is against the American people, right? But they've cultivated this concept where anything, this is why they say socialism instead of communism, because what they're really preaching on is communism. They try to ease in socialism. But I'll tell you this, and this is something to keep in your hat. Let's talk about Cuba for 2 seconds, and then we'll go back to the main part of the conversation. Under Obama, Cuba changed every reference of communism in their constitution to socialism. Why? Because it was more favorable, but it's exactly the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It shows you that they just changed a word and it means the same thing still. So don't get it twisted to think that they're two different things. They are exactly the same. But it's that word social that's right there in the beginning that sounds so good to everybody. And that's what the problem is. Socialism, communism, it's all the lack of God. It's all the ultimate authority goes to the government. And we don't want none of that here. We don't like the government that we have. We don't want to replace it with another government that's going to be all powerful, like the complaints of the government right now. What is the complaint about the government right now? The government do too much. The government has too much power. The government always telling somebody what to do. That's the complaint right now. And you want to replace it with another government that does all of those same things, but on a higher, more serious level? Because what? They promise you some free bread? What they promise you? Bread and roses? Like, come on now. If y'all don't know bread and roses, that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. Okay, bread and roses, bread and peace, all of that goes back to the communists and the what do you call it, the women's rights movements and stuff like that, which was all based in communism, which is a whole nother longer conversation. I could do a whole episode on that itself. But we need to have these important conversations because people don't care. They don't care at all. They care about what sounds good, what's going to immediately get them what they want. Okay, at least sound like it's going to get them what they want. And people don't pay attention. We have people that are out here promising free stuff. Okay, I got you. Free stuff has to come from somewhere, right? So where does it come from? Because the government doesn't make any money. So where does it come from? Well, it's going to have to come from you in the form of taxes, right? Or it's going to have to come from exports that the government controls all of that and then determines on how it's all divvied up, which means you're going to work in the government labor camp. So, I mean, you really only have two options there. You really only have two options. It's a real serious problem. Somebody said that left is fascist. So that's another conversation where they say, oh, well, the right are fascists and stuff like that. But conservatism and people on the right want smaller government. We want smaller government. That's what we're all about. Okay? But you want authoritarian government and the government to have power over everything. That's fascism. That's exactly what it is. So, I mean, it's the lack of understanding when it comes to these things are ever so serious. Ever so serious. You know, and when we talk about that, people get upset. People don't want to hear about it. But here's what I want you to do real quick. Hit the like button, hit the share button. It doesn't cost you nothing. Hit subscribe. Okay, hit follow and make sure that you're following and subscribed. We need to have our people start to stand up. And I'm so fed up. I'm about ready to get more intentful and more serious about everything that I talk about. Because where we're going in the direction that things are headed, it's going to be a serious problem. It's going to be a serious problem. On top of that, the socialists and the communists and all of these people, they want globalism. They don't want no borders. They don't want no Senate. Okay. They want to be able to rule by authoritarianism. That's what they want. Okay. They want everything to be run through the government because they figure that they can get in charge and they can stay in charge. And that's what's been the history of every socialist country. When the powerful get in charge, they stay in charge forever. Forever. Look at how Fidel Castro was when he was still in power. Old, decrepit. Okay, look worse than Joe Biden. Okay. Then his brother took over. You know, like, can we have those conversations? No, you can't have those conversations. That's too much like right. But yes, it's serious. I want to talk about the attacks on the water facilities real quick. So I don't know if you guys saw the attacks on the water facilities over the last couple of weeks. Okay. But it's been a very serious issue. So over the last couple of weeks, there have been a number of water facilities that have been attacked through digital attacks and cyber campaigns and stuff like that. And when that happened, it caused all types of problems. But they didn't even talk about that hardly at all in the news. So this is why for years I've been pushing that we need to decouple our resources from the internet. Why are our water plants and our power plants on the internet? That doesn't make any sense to me. Why? We don't need that to be. They don't need that. Okay? The more stuff that's on the internet, the worse that it is. Because anybody, look at this. They can't protect the Social Security Administration. Okay, they can't protect the what do you call it? The Department of Homeland Security. They can't protect the local state in here in New York. They can't protect DHS here. Okay, they can't protect. What did they hack last year, or was it the beginning of this year? They can't protect the business development for the state. They have a number of offices, including the energy people for the state, that were all in. I don't know if the right way to say it is cyber intruded, right? Like it's a cyber intrusion, like it's a cyber attack, right? But they were in there for years. They said they were in there for years and years and years and years. Okay. And they had these back doors and all types of stuff. Why is our stuff connected to the internet for that at all? Geez, these people ain't never heard of a WAN network. WAN. It's crazy. It's so serious. Let's take 2 seconds and talk about the importance of crucial and critical infrastructure and how it should not be connected online. If we see the continued advancement of all of these different cyber tools and AI and stuff like that are easy to penetrate through traditional security and even advanced and highly advanced security, now needing us to push towards quantum security, we should know that should be a signal to take our crucial and critical infrastructure offline of the internet. Make it make sense. It's real simple. It's real simple. We need to talk about that, but they don't want to do that. And you have to ask yourself why, because to them, it's not important. To them, everything is fine. And that's exactly what happened with the socialists in the Democrat Party. That's how they took over, because to them, it wasn't a worry. It wasn't a concern until it was a problem. And now here it is. It's a problem. It's a serious problem now. So some other underreported stories are, we just got so much stuff that just kind of misses the news media and stuff like that. And it's really, really serious. Let's continue to talk about critical infrastructure with critical minerals. So the U.S.'s dependency on foreign minerals and stuff like that is a serious issue. China has a stranglehold on all of the minerals that we need for most of our technology. They also make a lot of it. That's why now there's a push to make stuff in America again, because we need it. We need it. We can't rely on China. China's our biggest enemy. You know, China's the one that's doing a lot of these cyber intrusions and these cyber attacks and stuff like that. And they want to say, oh, well, it's this, oh, well, it's that. No, it's China. We know that. Like, that's not something that's a secret thing. Like, stop trying to tell us that it's not a problem. We need to have the serious conversations when it comes to that, because minerals and stuff like that, it's really something that we need to focus on bringing in America. And praise the Lord, the Department of Energy and the Department of the Interior are working together to actually address that issue. I don't know if you've seen what's been going on in China, but China been big mad about Iran, Venezuela, and what's going on in Cuba, right? And we need to have a comprehensive picture as American citizens of what's going on with these other issues, right? So China's hurting bad because they don't have enough oil. China's also one of the biggest users of coal right now. Okay, so they're hurting for oil. They're starting to shutter different businesses. People are trying to flee China. Don't let none of them in. I believe we need to reinstate the Chinese Exclusion Act. If we got some time, I'll talk about that later. Don't let none of them in, because all of them are spies. All of them only care about themselves. None of them want to help none of us. And they are obligated by China to spy for China if they are a Chinese national. So in China, people are trying to flee. So they have started even further strict restrictions on people flying out of China. So they're really trying to prevent people from fleeing, because they've got a serious issue over there economically right now. A lot of the businesses are starting to have to undercut their own prices just to stay afloat. They're causing issues with supplies and vendors and other things like that for all types of manufacturing, because they've become the manufacturing hub for the world. So when the US started to put on tariffs and stuff, it started to cause serious problems with them. Good, because China is our enemy. But now with the oil and stuff like that, it started to cause more energy issues, you know? And those energy issues go to manufacturing issues, go to reliance issues as far as other critical emergency services go, as far as other critical government services go and stuff like that. But people don't talk about that because, when you see China on X or on the internet, the little clips and stuff, they say, oh, China, Xingyin, or what was it? Xing. I don't even know, man. Them Chinese cities got some Chinese names, and I don't be knowing all of them. I can see it, but I don't remember how to pronounce it. But anyway, so they got all of these Chinese cities out there that are all on the internet, and oh, look at how advanced they are and stuff like that. But they got a lot of their college age kids, new graduates and stuff like that. They can't find a job. They're working in the gig economy. Some of them are even sleeping in things that are like smaller than karaoke studios. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I'm talking about, where you can rent a private booth, like smaller than that. Like they got these e-cafes that they just rent the e-cafe for the night just to sleep in and stuff like that because they don't have any money. And now they're highly condensed in cities because under Mao, they tried to push everybody out of the country in the rural area to push them into cities, which is what the United States is doing right now. Hello, wake up. Okay. People, please wake up. That's what they're doing right now. But anyway, it's become a serious issue over there because they just can't they're educated, they just don't have any jobs. And now we're seeing the same thing in our country right now. We got a lot of educated people, but they don't got no jobs. I saw somebody laughing online the other day because this lady was like, I got 2 degrees and I'm working at the gas station. Well, I don't know what her degrees are in, right? So who knows? Maybe it was gender studies and ancient Hellenic Greek art. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe it was things where there are more degrees than there are people for demand. But the craziest part about that is I know people with real like highly advanced degrees and stuff like that are having difficulty finding jobs. So can we have a conversation of that? You can't have a conversation about that because they don't want you to talk about those important issues. They try to say, oh, well, everything's great with the economy. Everything's great with the economy. I just was reading the other day, it looks like we're less than a 6% chance of a recession this year, which is phenomenal. Okay. But if you ask me, we're already in a recession. We've been in a recession since before COVID. We've never come out. COVID sent us into a depression and we never really fully recovered from that. And we're still in a recession right now. We're slowly starting to come out of that recession under President Trump and his reshoring of manufacturing and production in the United States. So we're slowly starting to come out of that. But that, again, it's the play on words that they do that's very problematic. We got a whole bunch of issues with a number of other things, as I'm telling you. They just want to expand the government so more people have jobs in the government. That's its own problem, right? But we also have it where we have the people that are in the government having all of their pensions taken away because the government doesn't have any money to fund their pensions. They just did that here in Rochester, okay? In Rochester, where I am, the city lost the pension money. Like it just poof, disappeared. This was right before election last November. The pension money, all the pension money disappeared right before the election. But they didn't start talking about it until the day after the election. I wonder why. I wonder who's got their claws in the media. Drink water, stay hydrated. So this is a serious issue, but we can't talk about that. Why can't we talk about the missing pension funds and the continued shrinking of pension funds? Where are the obligations of our city to be held accountable for the pension funds? And they keep cutting the tiers down and all of these tiers and all of those tiers. I forget all the numbers and stuff like that. So now that basically anybody new isn't even getting any type of real pension and stuff like that, the same thing is true with the state. I don't know about the county and how their pension stuff is going on here, if they got some weird stuff going on, but we had a weird thing go on with the pensions at the school board. Talk to some people in the school board. That's why I don't understand how the teachers union has so much power, right? Like they clearly don't serve the teachers. They serve communism and socialist leftist ideology, which is just driving more money into their pockets. They don't really care about the teachers. The teachers here had a whole pay issue where for like 4 months they didn't get paid at all. It was wild. And what did they do about it? Absolutely nothing. Then they're like, oh, well, we're going to give you loans for the money that you should have got. Well, wait, hold on, pause. You're going to give them loans for the money that they should have got. So that means that you know what the money is that they should have got. So how come the school district can't cut them a check for the money that they should have had? Make it make sense. You understand what I'm saying? It's a whole sordid affair. And we never really talked about that. We never really talked about that. They mentioned it a couple of times. There were a couple of little protests. They never really fixed it. By the time they ended up getting it fixed, okay, nobody was held accountable. Nobody was put in jail. Nobody ever found out where any of that money went to because they were like, oh, well, it was them switching over from the software that caused the problem where they couldn't issue. So switch back to the old software. Who's dumb? Okay, cut a paper check. Who's dumb? The teachers are paid the same thing over and over again. They're mostly salary workers. Okay, what do you mean you don't know how much they're going to get paid? Cut a check. The teachers union know how much you're going to get paid, but you don't know how much you're going to get paid at the school district? Who's stupid? You know, these are the serious issues. It's really, really crazy. Somebody's saying it's their first time hearing about this because they didn't cover it very much, you know? They didn't cover it very much. I also want to take a second and talk about the future of currency because we are in a very serious issue right now with the currency. You know, cash is king. That's what they tell you. But who's protecting your cash, right? Where is your cash? Is it a bank? Is it digital cash? Do you have physical currency? Like what is it? There are a lot of stores and a lot of businesses now that are like, we don't take cash. How can you not take cash? That's illegal. That's legal tender. That's a serious problem. Okay? What are we doing? And we need to have that conversation. They got rid of the penny. I was against that, you know. And they're like, oh, well, the penny costs us money. I don't care. You better issue them pennies because I know that if they get rid of the penny, they're going to have to round it up. But I also know if they get rid of the penny, they're going to come for the nickel, the dime, and the quarter next. It's coming. It's coming. It's very serious and it's coming. So now they're talking about, oh, well, they're going to get rid of the nickel because the nickel costs us 7 cents to make a nickel, but they're going to keep the dime because the dime is still less. That is wild. That is absolutely wild. You understand what I'm saying? So once they get rid of the nickel, what? Everything's going to be rounded to the nearest 10 cents? See, don't let these people play in your face. It's very, very concerning. And yes, it is very late in the day. This is what we're dealing with right now. We have to be on point. We have to be paying attention. And we need to be demanding action on these issues. But to galvanize people on these very serious issues, it's hard, you guys. People need to get up and stand up and they need to be pushing back. We've got it where right now, and I encourage you to look up the Fed Now app, right? Don't believe me because I'm saying it, believe me because I'm telling you. Okay, the Fed Now app where the Federal Reserve controls all your money, all of your transactions that go through the bank. So they started this under Biden, okay? What happens is when you go to swipe your card, okay, the money transaction, okay, the whole transaction goes to the Federal Reserve. Then the Federal Reserve decides on whether they want to let it go to your bank or not. And then the bank sends it to the person or the cashier, wherever you're at. That's not acceptable to me. I don't need any intermediaries with my money. I don't need a Federal Reserve to tell me that I can or am not able to spend my money in a certain place. So it's all about being monitored, right? It's a serious, serious problem. And we need to stand up and we need to start pushing back. Somebody mentioned Bitcoin. Okay, no, don't put your money in Bitcoin. Don't put your assets in Bitcoin. Again, all of it's about tracking technology. And people will disagree or they'll talk about it. They'll say, oh, well, no, Bitcoin and stuff is the best. All of it is about tracking you guys. That's all what it's about. Who controls the internet? The government. Who invented the internet? The government, the military. You think they don't control the internet? You got to be a fool. Okay, who controls the electricity? The government. So the government controls the two big things that you need to process any electrical online transactions. You ever have a card on your phone and your phone is dead or it can't get to the internet? Well, if it can't get to the internet, then you can't use your money. Y'all got to wake up. Got to wake up. Pay attention to what's going on. Now, let's get back to the penny and the cash to begin with. When we talk about the penny and the cash, the more places that stop taking currency and the more we let it happen, the bigger issue it's going to be later on. They're just trying to get you complacent with electric currency and digital currency and stuff like that so that they can run everything that way. It'll be easier for people to steal. It'll be easier for them to shut you off from using it if the government doesn't want you to shop. Let's say all of a sudden, they don't want you to shop at Jim Bob's car outlet. Okay, they will cut all the transactions from Jim Bob's car outlet. Okay, maybe they don't want you to shop at the new halal store up the street, which I don't think that any Christian should be shopping at any halal place anyway. We shouldn't be supporting people that are against Christ, but that's beside the point. Let's just say that they decided that they don't want you to do business with them. Well, you can't do business with them. Okay, what if they said that you can't do business with Nana's Hat Emporium? Okay, this is stuff that we need to be privy to and we need to understand as we go and we march towards more digital currency. The more it becomes a very, very serious issue. We've had a lot of issues during COVID with the medical supplies and stuff like that. So now we've got more manufacturing of medical supplies coming back to the US. That's fantastic. We've got more manufacturing of pharmaceuticals coming back to the US. That's fantastic also. And a good thing that we have people that are currently in this administration that are looking to make the US a powerhouse again. I'm going to give you this thought, and I want you to really sit and think about this. Look at Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk, the king of AI and the king of robots, okay, and the king of rocket ships now too, okay? This dude, he keeps telling us over and over and over again, the machines are going to take all the jobs, right? So if the machines are going to take all the jobs, then how are we going to make a living? How are we going to get money? How are we going to be able to provide for ourselves? Well, in order to do that, we're going to need something from the government, right? I don't like this idea, but this is where we're going. So we need to pay attention to what's going on so we can plan it out accordingly. And we can have a voice and say in the matter. We don't want to be caught with our pants down at the last second. And with this, who's going to be charged? The companies, right? Or we're going to have to be making money. Well, how can we make money if people don't have any jobs so people can't buy anything? So that means that the US has to become a provider for the world, for everything, for all the goods, all the services and everything. So that way, when, let's say, Bahrain or England or Chile, they need something, we sell it to them. The government puts part of it into a fund like a sovereign wealth fund or something for us so that we can get like a monthly stipend or whatever the case is. Again, here goes back to the digital currency, why it's a problem. Well, if the government is the one giving you your monthly stipend and your monthly stipend is all digital, then they have more control over you, okay? Not if they were giving it out to you in currency, hard cash, it'd be a little bit better, okay? But if it's all digital, you know, then they can start taking away things and say, oh, well, you used too much electricity this month, you know, so you're all out of your electricity points for this month. So now we're going to take that automatically out of your money before it comes in. Oh, well, we see that you've bought too many new clothes this month, so we're going to take that out of your credits on your stuff already in advance, you know. Well, but wait, but that's from my money that I spent last month. That's okay. It's about your carbon credits. Go look carbon credits up. That's a serious problem. Okay. And it's coming up, and it's coming up fast. And I know we don't have a lot of time to talk about these issues the way that they really need to be. All of these things should be like one show apiece. That's how serious each of these issues are. we've got another issue also. Think about it. As we move to the digital currency and stuff like that, electricity is at a premium right now. It's at a premium. Okay. So we know they're pushing, especially where I live in New York State, for more electricity. They want to electrify everything. They want everything to be electric. But the problem with that is very simple. If you make everything electric and you're not producing enough energy, then we're going to have electric shortages. And now they're going to start rationing it. They just put in all of these electric meters, which are auto shut off. And now they're talking about they want our local electric provider to be able to control the temperature in your house. What do you mean you want the energy provider to be able to control the temperature in my house? First of all, the temperature in my house ain't none of their business. If I want my house to be -2 degrees, okay, I should be able to have it in there like a freezer. Okay, if I want my house to be 98 degrees in the middle of winter, it should be 98 degrees in the middle of winter. This is a serious problem. And they're talking about this. This was just in the news. Where are the people protesting in the street? Where are the people protesting in the street? Like, this is a really serious, big deal. They're telling us right now that our local energy provider is going to control the temperature in your house. If they do that, what else are they going to do? First of all, should they be doing that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is so dangerous, y'all. This is why we need to start to move away from a lot of these electric connection devices and stuff like that, like I talked about earlier. They want all of these things on the Internet of Things. I don't want my things on the Internet of Things. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want my stuff networked all together. Okay? Shoot. I don't want none of that because I know that that is dangerous. Not only is that territory for cyber intrusion and cyber attacks, but it's also if my energy company decides that they want it's the middle of winter and they don't want it to be above 35 degrees in my house, then it's not going to be above 35 degrees in my house. You guys need to wake up, please, dear God. And we have to start standing up against this stuff. Again, I don't know how there are not protests in the street right now where I live over them talking about they're going to have our local electric provider, energy provider, control the temperature in our houses. If you won't stand up for that, what will you stand up for? When will you stand up? When it's too late? This is what we have to make sure we're standing up ahead of time, that we're pushing forth ahead of time. That's what we got to do. Drink water, stay hydrated. So I want you to take 2 seconds. I want you to hit that subscribe button or the follow button. Make sure you're following. Hit the retweet, hit the share, okay? It don't cost you nothing. And definitely hit a thumbs up, hit a heart, wherever you are, whatever platform you are, and drop a comment. All of that helps with the algorithm to share it out to more people. I want to talk about more stuff, but we're getting here towards the end of the show, okay? So what we have to do is we have to start standing up. We have to start demanding action. We have to start holding our local elected officials accountable because it starts on the local and on the state level. Those are the people that have the most power over your everyday life. And that's why we must stand up now, not later. And we must get far more serious about what we're doing and how we're doing it. I love you guys. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action, be blessed, and be well. Now, if you haven't come to Christ yet, or you don't know Christ as your Lord and Savior, I hope you find him to be your Lord and Savior, because in these tough times, the only thing that's really going to get us through is Jesus Christ. Okay? The one true God is the triune God. Anybody that does not believe in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit does not believe or worship the same God. Remember that. I love you all, and I'll leave you with this. Take this away. There's a couple of things coming up that I think you need to be aware of, more than just what we were talking about, them being able to control your energy and stuff like that. But also think about, if it's energy now, then it's going to be water. Then it's going to be water. And if it's water, then what is it going to be next? Okay? If it's energy and water, it's definitely going to be your internet. So when do we stand up? Now is the time. Y'all be blessed and be well. I'll catch you guys next week. Subscribe, share, retweet, all of that goodness.